I get to see the ocean. I get to smell the nature. I can hear the waves. Pretty magical to be able to live in a national park. I love this place. My name is Ann Ray, and I live in the Presidio. I live alone at the edge of the park near a stand of woods. And I've been here for over 15 years. This is my home.
We're technically still in San Francisco, but this is pretty remote.
It's pretty remote, yeah. And the police can't get here super quick.
Ann knows that because she says over the past 5 years, she's called police and investigators over 50 times. At first, it was just packages stolen off her stoop and broken car windows in the neighborhood. But then one day, Ann's dog suddenly started barking.
Something was going on outside of my door, and so I looked outside and got a very good view of him.
You could actually see him trying to get into your house.
Yeah, from the window, yes.
What was that like?
Very disturbing, pretty menacing looking, and so yeah, it was scary.
Could you actually see the doorknob moving from the inside?
I worry about when I go to sleep at night, if he'll bust the windows and make it upstairs. And so I sleep with a taser and a single blade knife.
You sleep with that every night?
Every night.
Ann lives here, on a quiet hillside near the ocean. This is San Francisco's Presidio, which spans about 1,500 acres along the northern tip of the city.
It used to be a military base, but in the late 90s, the federal government started turning the barracks into housing. And so despite this place being a national park, it's home to more than 3,000 renters. That includes Ann and her neighbors. We went door to door in hopes of learning more about the man in the woods.
He always tends to gravitate back towards this area.
That's Chrissy Kenny. She's lived here for nearly a decade.
Most of the residents who have been here for as long as we have all had some kind of an encounter with him.
A few doors down is Garner Swan. He's been here about 8 years.
Is it the best place for him to live? Probably not. Should he get help? Absolutely.
Some neighbors didn't feel safe talking to us. This woman wanted her face blurred.
For me, it's about my child and keeping her safe.
Do you worry something could happen to her?
Yes, I do. Yes. I just know he's going to come back here.
Here he is outside Ann's place, dressed in all black, about 1 a.m.
It's frightening. It's creepy. There's this guy who just watches me.
Do you think he's become obsessed with you?
Yeah, I do. And so do the detectives. So this is designed for us to see.
He's left several messages in chalk outside her home.
He wrote, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, wink, wink, wink.
And here he is ringing Ann's doorbell at about 5 a.m.
Completely naked.
Naked?
Yeah.
Did you worry he'd hurt you?
Yeah, I mean, he's got very unpredictable behavior. He will, in one circumstance, be very timid and childlike. Then he's in a fist fight with officers or my neighbors.
Ann says the man's obsession with her has only grown over the years.
So he'd basically make this his home.
One of them, yeah, absolutely.
And we're not far from your house.
No, it's creepy as you can imagine. He's got a fixation, which is increasing on me. So it's scary. I live alone, and no one's gonna hear me scream.
You've thought about that before?
Oh yeah, I've thought about it a lot, actually, yeah, for sure.
That man is James Durgan. And in our search to find out who he is, we actually learned quite a bit about San Francisco.
We're talking about the police, courts, prosecutors, and City Hall. It's a system that should be working together, but parts of it are pretty broken. And if you live in San Francisco, you're the one paying for it, figuratively and literally. The city alone has a $12 billion annual budget, billion with a B. That's more than many countries. But here, major retail stores have become crime scenes. Gun violence doubled last year. Burglaries are at the highest levels in recent history. Car break-ins have spiked more than 170% in parts of the city. And despite a ballooning street cleaning budget, triple the size of other major cities, San Francisco is still averaging more than 80 complaints per day about feces on streets and sidewalks.
That's the sad irony. It's such an incredibly wealthy and resourceful, beautiful city. It's not so pretty anymore.
San Francisco may be the tech capital of the universe and one of the most progressive cities in America, but it's still struggling with homelessness, crime, drug use.
And it turns out, so is James Durgan. He spent much of the past 2 decades in and out of jail. Law enforcement sources tell us he's been arrested about 60 times in San Francisco.
He's been charged with 54 felonies and more than 100 misdemeanors. We also got a hold of hundreds of pages of his criminal records and found convictions for theft, violence, and drug use. Over the years, the court has ordered at least a dozen mental health evaluations. Federal records show he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and has undergone repeated treatment for an addiction to drugs, including meth. He's also had 16 restraining orders filed against him. 4 of those from churches. A pastor at St. Dominic's accused him of trying to use their prayer candles to start a fire inside the church.
When I started finding out about his history, I realized I needed to get a restraining order.
She did, but James Durgan keeps coming back.
I don't know what he's capable of.
So what happens when police can't find him?
He keeps slipping through the cracks.
What happens when police lose him?
He escaped from federal custody.
This season on Saving San Francisco.
A naked man ran right in front of my car, and all of a sudden I realized, whoa, that was Jim Durgan.
It was written in black Sharpie, the word almost on our door and an arrow pointing to our doorknob.
As in, like, I almost got in?
Let him fall on the knife and then got him.
He's not the problem, he is a symptom of it.
You've been mayor now more than 3 years, and these problems are still here. Some have argued they've even gotten worse.
It's not as simple as that. It's been complicated.
To really understand how Durgan got to where he is today, we felt like we needed to learn more about his past. So we came here, his hometown. There he is, James M. Durgan.
He was the best friend I ever had. Somebody that just had a magnetism about him.
It was the expression surrounding the eyes, kind of intense eyes.
There was something kind of unhinged.
I mean, I'm not a hurtful person, I'm not a harmful person. I'm going to be somewhere in the future looking back on this knowing like, wow, that was all just someone else's story for me.